posted an episode since August 18th. And even then, the episode I posted, the Van Halen draft with my friend Matt Rumler, it had been recorded in July, and I recorded 2 episodes with my friend Chad. That's this one that I'm getting ready to drop now. And another one that will be coming soon. I've recorded 3 others with my friend Kevin Moon that I haven't posted either, because I've been wanting to mess with this intro. I've had all these ideas of things I want to do. When Moon was over here, I did some things different. Whether I end up using them or not, I don't know yet. But once basketball starts, my life ends, and you're busy. And I've been playing around with this intro. And when you're as busy as I am, then when you do get downtime, I find myself sitting here in my office getting nothing done. And I finally got it finished tonight. I'm glad to be able to post it at the front of this. Just played in front of what I'm doing right now. And I love this episode. I explain it in the episode, so I won't really get into it, but it's a fun 90s episode with one of my best friends ever, Chad Frederick, and I hope you enjoy it. There's some technical issues in it. I had to get a new camera card or a new SD card that was fast enough to keep up. I don't really know what happened. I'm the technology guy at the school at the Illini Central, and I don't know what happened and why it isn't working. So I hope you enjoy this one. I hope you enjoyed the intro. I've got some ideas coming up. Our basketball season hopefully won't be over too soon. Hopefully we go far into the regionals and sectionals and sectional and whatever. But I have some ideas of stuff coming up in the winter I'm looking forward to doing. So if you enjoy listening to these, I've been pretty music heavy, but I've also had some ideas. That's the other funny thing is before school started, I was going to do one about school, just me by myself. And I was, I've been wanting to do some coaching ones, but I've just been so darn busy. So hopefully now that I got the intro ready and I've got some other things set up here in my office at home, I can do these. I appreciate you paying attention. I appreciate you listening. And yep, I'm going to say it. Life is good. Enjoy. So technical difficulties are always awesome. Yep. There's nothing better. And when you do what I do for a living,
I could Perry Farrell you and just go body check you because you're messing shit up.
You can punch me, quotation marks, in the face.
And miss. The best part is watching Dave Navarro just calmly put his guitar down and be like, "What are you doing, dude?"
Yeah. Yeah, it was something else. I thought there's nothing better as a precursor for this pod.
No kidding.
This is why the technical difficulties right now have to not happen again, because this is the perfect intro for this pod because of what happened Friday night.
Literally.
So please.
There is nothing more 90s than Perry Farrell.
No, and I'm going to keep glancing down and hope that it doesn't fail out again, because we've tried this now for the 3rd time. I am sitting across from my friend, lifelong friend, Chad Frederick. We graduated from high school in the same year. He will be the same age as me in a couple of weeks.
Very shortly.
53. And we're going to do a pod today that I'm probably as excited for as anyone that I've done, only because it's an absolute mess. I know his list is a mess. I know my list is a mess.
Bunch of mess.
There will be a handful of people, because probably less than 20 people will listen to this. But I don't know how you do what I asked you to do, but I asked you to make this list.
Yes. And when I said it was crazy, I know you kind of believed me, but you hadn't really dug as deep yet. And then you're like, yeah, it's almost impossible to do this task.
You got here at roughly 1 something. It doesn't matter what time it was. And I was in my swimming pool smoking a backwoods cigar, drinking a Coors Banquet, and still trying to finalize this list because I just didn't know where to go with it. So I got a tweet. If you're not on Twitter, it's probably good for you that you're not on Twitter, because it's a cesspool, especially in an election year. But I saw a tweet last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. You can either see things that from people that you follow, or you can see things from people or who our guy Elon Musk suggests that I see his stuff. And the tweet, and I'm not going to try to butcher the person's handle, so shout out to Ian, spelled not like my guy Ian, but it was a picture of an album cover, and the tweet said, A, perfect all caps, album from the 1990s that isn't all caps, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, or Alice in Chains. You might be listening to this and saying, well, those aren't, which one of those four isn't one of my favorites. That's not the point. Mm-hmm. The point, because one of those four isn't one of your favorites. Right. I don't even know that, and we haven't even discussed it. Like, one of your favorite 90s bands is not one of those four. There's probably, if I asked you, and that's a different pod, which one of the four would you kick off? I don't know for sure. I could guess, but it doesn't matter.
It's changed through time. That's what's even funnier.
It doesn't matter.
The main thing, though, is of those four bands, if you're making a top list, you could easily argue 10 albums that would make the list between the four of them.
True.
Which definitely takes this to a different level.
And I would agree with you in terms of gosh, we could do this. This pod could be 3 hours long. I would boot. Let's just say it. We haven't even talked about this. Okay. Which one of the four would you boot?
I would boot Soundgarden.
Sitting here right now.
And I love Chris Cornell, but I would boot Soundgarden, even though I think that Outshined is one of the best songs of the 90s.
Fire.
And Spoon Man as well. Incredible.
And
Burn in My Hand. And I could keep going.
Yeah.
I would boot them out of the four. Alice in Chains has become my favorite in old age. Probably would have been booted in my young age.
Yeah, I would definitely boot Soundgarden. And if you're a Soundgarden fan listening to this,
it's sorry. Not because we don't love them.
Sorry. But yeah, if you told me I could never... No. That's not true. Not true. I'd boot Nirvana.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd boot Nirvana.
The funny part is that even if I would boot... See, the funny part is we boot either one of them, it's actually win. Because then we can put them in our list.
That's true.
So if they're booted, they actually just... The best part is that if they're booted, we would end up putting them in our list.
Yeah.
You might boot Nirvana, then never mind makes your top 15. You know, it's just funny how that works.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things, and we need to get going in this.
Let's do it.
Because like I said, we could talk forever, and...
We should just do multiple 90s podcasts with different whatever topics.
Yeah, you're the person I should do 90s podcasts, because that's actually what I was just thinking in my head was we went through life in a different way during the 90s, and we spent a lot of time listening to music together in the 90s, and it's different than when we grew up in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So when you messaged me that the 90s is, in your opinion, your favorite, the best decade of music, I turned my nose up initially, but I mean, it's just different. Like we
kind of can't compare 80s and 90s.
We went through a different life thing. Yeah. We were adults,
Ish.
quote unquote,
right.
Adults when we went through the 90s together. So the rule
for like
what the parameters would be. Songs of the 1990s, band that wasn't Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. What's on your just missed list? And then I threw you a curveball when you got here today of albums that how in the hell did they not make it?
Just more of what you said earlier. Like, we're just gonna please forgive us for leaving them there. It's not because we don't love the album. It's just because unfortunately something has to give.
Yeah, it's that's what it is. That's what we
could do a top 100,
right?
And do a 10-hour podcast and probably talk forever.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. So let's start at the 15.
Okay.
What is your number 15?
Well, as we were kind of talking about when we were not on air about the fact that what's a perfect album, and I discussed the fact that perfect may not always be favorite, even though obviously they're most of the time going to be favorite. I tried to be as subjective as possible. So 15 is not one of my favorite albums of the 1990s. However, I do like it very much. It's more of the fact that I just find it incredible that it was such perfection. And that's Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. It's perfection in a standpoint that the album is just a masterpiece from start to finish. You can listen to the whole thing. And it's more giving her ridiculous props for the fact that she did nothing before this. That was her first album. And then after, not that Thank You was a bad song or that 400 word, it's just it pales in comparisons. And it is really, for lack of a better way of saying it, blew her wad on one album, and it is absolutely perfect. And so I put it 15 just because I want to give her the props she deserves.
Yeah, it's on my list of the ones I picked from. I mentioned when we tried to do this before, and I'm just hoping that it's going to continue to record.
It's a rapid fire for
yeah,
you.
It's on my absolute 60 albums list or whatever I had. It's got so many hits on it that were good songs.
Yep.
And I don't blame you for putting that on your list. My number 15 is something that breaks rules in my podcast rules. I'm not a soundtracks person. I'm not a greatest hits person. And we discussed this, but not the actual album.
You and I had a talk. Yeah.
We talked about it. Number 15 is the album or the soundtrack for the movie Singles.
Okay.
There's a number of songs on it that aren't on the actual artist albums. It's in a way cheating because there's Pearl Jam songs on it. There's Alice in Chains songs on it. I mean, Wood is on it. And
it's on an album.
Yeah,
right.
It's on an album. And I'm not trying to break the rules in that way. I just
let's face it, it's got Drown on it, which is on nothing else.
That's what it is. I mean, it gets to be on there because the song Drown from Smashing Pumpkins is the last song on it. It's an extended version that has so much feedback on it. It's one of my, if not my favorite song from the 90s. And I'm not overstating that.
He's
love
not
that
kidding.
song.
I remember talking
love
after
it.
well, that's a great tune.
Yeah, I just love it. So I decided to put it 15 because it's breaking my rule of soundtracks.
Nice. So you made it last.
Our friend Jerry loves to put soundtracks that shouldn't be on lists.
We'll talk in a little bit about that. But okay, so 14. I know both of us love this band. We love the lead singer. This is a great album. I put it here because I don't believe that the album from front to end is perfect, but it has my favorite song of the entire 1990s on it, and it still could arguably be in my top 5 songs without a doubt. No question. This is Faith No More, Angel Dust. I put it at 14. It probably would have been higher if we were doing this in the 90s, but through the course of time and listening to stuff, I don't love the whole album, but what I love, I just absolutely love. And Mike Patton is an absolute genius. He's a prick, but he's a genius. And you can't deny this album as just being groundbreaking and crazy, and I love it.
We saw him in concert at Western.
Yep.
Helmet opened for him and had people flipping them off and telling them to get off the stage. It was before Faith No More went to open for GNR and Metallica.
Right.
The album isn't on my list. It was on my pool, meaning the sheet to pick from. Small Victory.
Kindergarten. Be Aggressive. Land of Sunshine. Midlife Crisis being my favorite song.
So fire. Yeah, it's not on my list, but it deserves to be on any list on your list. 14 for me is Purple from Stone Temple Pilots. It's got a number of really good songs on it. Obviously, Interstate Love Song.
Fire.
It's funny because you had all these CDs and I borrowed them from you and I ripped the songs off. And there are so many songs I love from them that I couldn't tell you what the hell their names were.
You and I love Stone Temple Pilots.
Right.
They were what we were talking about earlier. I find them to be kind of a cheat code. So you don't allow those for grunge but it's because Stone Temple Pilots were a little more than grunge, even though they started as grunge. But they're kind of a cheat code because they're the same vein.
But they were trying to sound like Pearl Jam.
Yep. And then they decided to not.
Everybody was like,
and then all of a sudden you realize that they're nothing like that, and they had so much going on. Scott Weiland was amazing.
They caught so much crap for trying to sound like the others during that period of time, and it was so not true.
Yep.
In terms of, I love them. I just love them. I will always love them. And if you can find a better 90s song than Big Empty, good luck. Go find one.
We'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Go find that song. Go find Big Empty.
It's the Purple Rain of albums for songs of the 90s, in my opinion. I don't know if it's my favorite Stone Temple Pilot song, but it's the best Stone Temple Pilot
It's such a good song. So 13 for you.
13. I'm going to go with something that I would have never had in the list back in the day, and it's crazy that I wouldn't have, but I just didn't, and that's Metallica's The Black Album. You probably be like, whatever, because I know you're a Metallica fan, and I'm not sure how much you like the Black Album. I know Jerry would have it in probably top 5. This album is a masterpiece, and I hate the fact that I didn't care about it more then. That's all I really have to say about it. It's funny, Enter Sandman is a great song, no doubt about it, but it's so far not even close to being the best song on the album to me. I just love that album from start to finish.
Jury's not going to disown you as a friend. He will disown me as a friend because it's not in the top 20.
Didn't surprise me. Yeah.
And it's on my list. It was in the pool.
Well, I knew it wasn't your favorite Metallica.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it a lot. I guess what we have to do when we are doing this podcast is you look back and, over time, what have you gotten tired of? What do you enjoy? Gosh, I listened to the crap out of it. Mm-hmm. You're right. Enter Sandman, Sabbath True,
Wolf and Man's good tunes. Yeah, Unforgiven's a great song.
Nothing Else Matters. Yep. My Friend in Misery. Gosh, it's so good.
It's a great album.
It's just, there were things that I just put ahead of it. It's good though. No, it's not. There's no wrong.
Well, that's what I think about. It's going to be great about these lists is that we're not going to have a ton of crossover. Some crossover,
right?
But it's not like we're ever going to disagree that the other person's album is bad.
100%. Yeah, that leads to me.
We might.
That leads to my number 13. I wasn't listening to it when we were hanging out in 1994. When life was happening in 1994, we weren't listening to it. There's an album called Illmatic by Nas. We never listened to this together.
And I don't even know a lot of Nas. I do what I've heard I like.
And you don't know this one probably, other than maybe a couple of them. But this is one of those rap albums that I came to late. And I love it because there are so many samples in it.
Yeah.
Like the last song on it, the 10th song, is called It Ain't Hard to Tell. And the sample in the background is Human Nature from Michael Jackson.
No way.
And
That's awesome.
Fire.
That's awesome.
It is absolutely one of the best rap songs ever because it uses human nature as its sample in the background.
I mean, that's right up there with Eminem using Hadaway. That's right there, dude.
It's got New York State of Mind is all my favorite songs
that
ever,
one I know.
or my favorite hip-hop songs. The World Is Yours is another one that was in the park. I'll listen to that. I love so many times in the last 5 years because that Human Nature sample is fire.
Well, I will have to listen to
You
that.
can say whatever you want about rap and hip-hop music, but in the day when they were doing the samples, using samples all the time, that's what made it. That's what got it. That's what got it to be what it was.
Right.
So good.
Agreed.
Number 12 for you.
Number 12, I'm actually kind of ashamed a little bit that nothing's higher for this band than this, but this is where I went, and we might disagree on which one is the one that gets here. Smashing Pumpkins' Gish ends up here for me. It's my favorite of the Pumpkins albums. They made incredible 90s albums, as we'll probably get into in Rapid Fire, and/or just missed, and/or on your list. But this, Shiva, is my absolute favorite of all Smashing Pumpkins songs. So that's why I absolutely had to have Gish on there. You brought me to the Smashing Pumpkins. You were the first one that I knew that actually liked the Pumpkins. And then I just went down that. I couldn't stop listening to them. And even though Billy Corgan's really hard to listen to talking, and I've seen him live and watched him throw a baby fit, they're an incredible band.
I walked into Rockin' Robin's one day. I don't know, Rockin' Robin is still alive. I hope she is.
I don't know.
She was the coolest.
She lived hard.
She was the coolest of the cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
What a person to own the
Speaking of Perry Farrell,
the number one music store owner. She was the coolest. And I walked in there one day and I look behind the counter and I see an album from a band called Smashing Pumpkins, because this was back when they were still on the cardboard.
Right.
And I'm like, that's an amazing name for a band. I have no idea what you're playing.
Right.
And I bought it because the name of the
How crazy is that?
band.
You bought you did what women do in NCAA tournament. You picked it based on the name,
100%.
and you won.
Because she had it standing up. Because remember, she had that deal. Like they would be standing up,
Right.
like stacked
No, I do.
up,
I remember, yeah.
And there would be one of them that you could see the cover, and I'm like, give me that. And I had no idea. And
Incredible
Gish
Chicago
is- and
band, incredible. They're amazing.
That's the band, or that's the album you're talking about, and so good.
It's
And the reason why I'm talking about it so much is it didn't make my top 15.
Yeah.
And it should have, but it didn't.
we're gonna do that a lot.
Yeah, that's what the best part about this list. And I hope it's still recording. We're having, like I
Right.
said, technical issues.
Well, and I think
if not, we'll do it later.
So
but
far, the Pumpkins might be the first one that jumps out as that you could easily. Well, no, Stone Temple Pilots too. You could easily pick 3 or 4 albums.
they should have been in that 4. They would have replaced the 4 for me. If you were gonna swap
And
somebody out.
Who knows what album a Pumpkins fan could pick? You can pick between 3 or 4 albums easily.
Easy.
An STP fan could pick between 3 or 4 albums easily.
Easy.
And so, and there's a lot of bands like that. We're going to see a lot of bands like that in here. Which is also a true testament to the '90s that these bands put out 3 or 4 albums that could easily be there in a decade.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah. Even though the Smashing Pumpkins didn't get the attention, or
Melancholy was the first time they got the actual.
to
And it
that
was my
level.
least favorite.
Right. And I listened to it the other night, and I was like, "What? I kept clicking, like I was clicking to the next one, and I'm like, "This is so good."
Yeah.
And I didn't like it.
It's
when I had
amazing.
it.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it was my least favorite at the time.
Yeah.
Because I had a.
But the other night, I clicked through it, and I just kept. But anyway, we're getting off topic. Number 12 for me is you're not gonna be mad at me, but this is one of your this is your band. The Downward Spiral is number 12 for me.
I'm not mad at you for putting 9 Inch Nails in the top 15 out of the entire decade.
Right. It came down to, do you put Pretty Hate Machine on? Do you put this on?
Well,
and the others are good too. I don't mean that.
But that's
you come back to Hurt, you come back to Closer, you come back to March of the Pigs. But then again, for me, it's I don't want to screw up the title, but A Warm Place.
Yes.
A Warm Place.
And it kind of goes back to Trent Reznor has the ability to put together things musically that don't need lyrics at all, that are just incredible.
That's why the album's
a la Moby, with what we've talked about. Trent Reznor could have easily made that song for the movie Heat, and it would have maybe even been better.
Yeah, I love that, and a lot of the rest of it that's on there.
Yeah,
I could do without.
Tiny tangent. Do you have any idea how angry I was when I looked and saw that Pretty Hate Machine was released in '89? I got angry.
Oh, it was. I didn't even
89
because I already
because it would have been number 1,
right?
Probably for me. That was like, well, so much for that.
Yeah,
it's 89.
Can
you believe that was released the year we graduated from high school?
Insane.
That album.
But again,
we would have never dreamt something like that existed.
We talked about in the previous pod. We hope this one's going to come out. But we talked about how we lived in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
We didn't know nothing. So, keeping it moving.
Yes. 11.
Number 11.
So here's where I break the rule, and it's not the single soundtrack. This is where the Big Empty comes in. I have the Crow soundtrack as number 11 because Burn by The Cure is my favorite Cure song. First song on the album, best scene of the movie. That song is just insanely good. Then you have Joy Division cover by 9 Inch Nails of Dead Souls. You have Big Empty on there, and I realize it breaks the rule because it's also on the album. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of other songs that are perfectly good. There's stuff on there that I would have never probably have listened to anything else from those people, like Rollins Band, etc., if I hadn't have heard that and been like, okay, I'll give it a chance. Not to mention, it's just, let's be honest, if you knew Chad Frederick in the 90s, the Crow soundtrack is Chad.
It's his soundtrack.
Yeah, it was, and it's a great soundtrack.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, and it does exactly what you're choosing the single soundtrack. It's exactly the same thing. You have a song that was also on a released album by one of those bands that was a huge hit, but you also have so much music made for that movie that was just amazing.
Yeah, I wondered when you and I talked soundtracks, but we would not let each other know what soundtrack we were talking about.
I knew yours was Singles, and I knew mine was The Crow, and you probably knew the same thing.
Yeah, that's what was funny about it, because I really, honestly, I figured one of us, or you would pick that one, and I would pick the one that I picked. And I owned both of them, and I love both of them.
For sure.
My number 11 was one that I thought, boy, it should be higher. It should really be higher. And yeah, that's this list. The Color and the Shape from the Foo Fighters.
You and I just had so many conversations about this album.
Yeah, and we've talked about it many times.
And the song, one song.
Yeah, and I just hope, again, I hope it's still recording. If we're having, like I said earlier, technical difficulties, and this is the last time I'll bring it up, but because this is so good. But yeah. You think Everlong, you think Monkey Wrench, you think My Hero, but it's the others. It's Walking After You. It's February Stars.
Yes.
It's Up in Arms. And honestly, the one that I jam out to the most is New Way Home, the second to last song on it.
Great song.
Just absolutely ends up on my top 100 Spotify. There's my royalty check. It ends up on them. I mean, I listen to that song over and over.
We talked about this album all the time back in the 90s, too. Because it's also so cool that Dave Grohl, the first Foo Fighters album was great. It was really good. Not great, it was really good.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, this is really cool that the drummer from Nirvana can do this after Kurt dies and all this stuff happens. And then The Color and the Shape comes out, and we're just like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane how good it is.
Yeah, we talked, again, like what you just said. We've talked about this album multiple times. We listened to it at your dad's.
Yep.
I'm sure I borrowed it from you and ripped the songs off that I loved from you. And it
was one of the few CDs that actually I had to replace. There weren't a lot. There was a Nine Inch Nails one. There was a few other ones, but I had to replace it because it actually got warped from listening to it too much because I listened to it all the time.
Yeah, it's such
back when you actually did that.
Yeah, it's so good. So we're already to 10.
So 10 will not be on your list anywhere at all because it's about as far from probably something you like as possible. But I've always loved this band, and this album was just so much to me. Is Live Throwing Copper. Live Throwing Copper.
Oh, I thought you were going to put Chumbawamba.
Not Chumbawamba. No, I'm not going to piss the night away. So Live Throwing Copper to me was an insane album. But I was a huge Live fan before that with their first album with Operation Spirit and The Beauty of Grey and all that stuff. And I really liked them. And they came to Macomb. They did the 120 Minutes tour. And I was like, okay, this is like the alternative to the grunge stuff, even though they kind of went that way a little bit. It's more of the, I don't know, say indie thing, but I Alone and the Lightning Crashes and Selling the Drama and White Discussion are just phenomenal songs. And I just, honestly, at the end of the day, when I was making this list, I was like, I can't not put them higher. I love this album. I still listen to this album. It's not for everybody. I love Ed Kowalczyk. I mean, I even love when he did a song with Tricky. I mean, I love this band, and most people don't.
You had it on CD, and I borrowed it, and I listened to it, and I like it. Mm-hmm. It's not on my list. It wasn't in my pool only because it might have been an accident that it wasn't. I think that's what
easy to miss stuff.
When you do things like this and you go online and you start looking at every album released in a year, and if you don't take it very slow,
you miss stuff easily.
It should have been on my. It should have been in the pool. It wouldn't have been on my list. But yeah, you're right. That's good stuff. That's good '90s stuff.
It was their swan. I mean, this is their precipice. This is what they never did anything near that.
At that moment. Yeah. What was the next one? What was the next album?
Oh my! It was called Secret Samadhi. Wasn't that what it's called?
Because I can hear.
Lakini's Juice.
Yeah.
And it was a good tune. They had a couple of good songs on that album, but they never ever met that level of quality again.
That's true. And I really like those songs off that album. Number 10 for me got crossed out while I was in the pool. I wrote it in there, crossed it out.
You crossed out 10.
I crossed
Not 15,
I
but
crossed
10.
out number 10, and I replaced it with the album of the
You
band that
you
we
didn't
were joking
replace
about.
15. You replaced 10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mark out
Yeah,
like number 2.
The album we were joking about earlier. Good old not Allison Chains. Good old Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, Ritual or
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That-
You can't. Again, it's the others.
It's in my
That
pool.
album- that
I had a
al-
hard time keeping it off the list.
That
but,
album got attention because of Been Caught Stealing.
Yep. But,
It got attention because of its album cover.
but Mountain Song and
Well, no, but that's on Nothing
That's-
Shocking.
sorry, that's on Nothing Shocking.
Nothing Shocking. 3 Days.
yes, and
Then She Did.
yes.
There's 2 or 3 other songs that never got released off of that album.
Goddamn radio. Yeah, what's that one?
3 Days.
3 Days is
I
amazing.
listen to 3 Days all the time.
Yeah.
And the album cover obviously was controversial, especially in Macomb, Illinois, when we were kids. And
Stop.
Stop.
The song Stop is on there. I love that song too.
It's a really, it's not a great album, but boy,
But
3
you got a
Days,
perfect.
Then She Did.
Again, when you say perfect, it's hard not to bring in other tangible things. Palooza. He did all these different things. Who I'm sure was very hard to work with.
By Friday night.
With him trying to punch Dave Navarro,
Punch
who probably would have.
Days is the one. That's the song of all of because it's old school. It peaks and it slows down and peaks again.
It's just an insane song.
Yeah, that's something that again, a guy that even in the CD era, I didn't listen to everything, but I listened to that. And I listened to it the other day just to refresh.
Still good.
And it's so
And
good.
you got to give Jane's a lot of credit for being one of those bands that truly did usher in that new change.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not grunge, but they brought a different feel to music.
Yeah, my friend who it's funny, my friend who I put on the level of you in terms of his, former student, former player, Ian Albers, he put Kimberly Austin. Remember I was talking about Instagram?
Yeah.
When I was in the pool before you got here, he put he's listening to that same stuff
That's
that we
funny.
would listen to because that's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's in that ballpark.
Yep.
So that means we're inside the top
10
now.
now, yeah.
You're number 9.
My number 9 is the first time this happens where we overlap each other. This is where Stone Temple Pilots' Purple comes in for me. Very hard for me to pick which Stone Temple Pilots album was my favorite. I had to go back, and I'm not going to kid you. I went back and listened to everything again, even though I know everything, because I didn't like picking one over the other. It was kind of like this was truly the first time picking your favorite kid. This is what wins. It's because of Big Empty. It's because of Undone. It's because of Flies in the Vaseline. I mean, there's a few songs on there that just kind of take it to a different level for me. Hard still, but this is where I went, and I still just absolutely love Stone Temple Pilots.
I don't know. Again, Big Empty. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
Big Empty.
Yep.
Big Empty is one of the greatest songs of all time, and I love it so much. And I will. It's a hill I can.
The
die
minute
on.
you hear that first
Just
guitar note,
Love
is
it.
you're done.
So good. Nothing else I can say about it. I just love
Big
it.
Empty.
Number 9 for me. So how do you pick a Beastie Boys album?
You can't.
How do you pick a Beastie Boys album that we used to listen to over and over again during that period of time?
They were the other band that I had. There's a few, but I couldn't pick my favorite kid very easy.
Yeah, we listened to them over and over and over again. The two choices, one of them I think was 92 or 93. The other one was 94. I went with 94. Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage. Yep. How do you not pick that?
It's really hard to go either of those two.
I watched we have Apple TV.
Because I feel the same about So What You Want. So it's like,
yeah.
And it isn't sabotage that makes, we'll get into that.
Yeah, So What You Want is when they came back to us.
Completely.
We listened to...
and they hit like alternative because they weren't before that.
Because again, we were in the middle of nowhere and we didn't... Paul's Boutique wasn't getting it.
No.
And now you listen to Paul's Boutique, and I love Paul's Boutique. I felt bad. I started listening to Paul's Boutique after the others
So
came out.
when Gratitude and So What You Want, when you might
Jimmy
only know the
James.
band as the Fight for Your Right band, you're just like, what am I missing?
Girls.
Yeah, what am I
Brass
missing
Monkey.
here? There's something I'm really missing.
We listened to Check Your Head so much when we were kids early,
And then we listened to Ill Communication even more.
Oh my gosh. And then you watch that video for Sabotage. If you haven't watched the Beastie Boys story on Apple TV, that's what I was going to say. We have Apple TV because of Ted Lasso, but it's amazing.
Yep.
Mike D, Ad Rock talking about the whole deal. If you haven't seen that, you got to watch it. It's so good. So now number 8 for you.
Number 8, Depeche Mode Violator. Came out in 1990. Obviously, one of my favorite bands, and you know that. It was actually easy to pick this as being my favorite Depeche Mode album because it kind of like along the lines of the pod we just did. This was their masterpiece, in my opinion. They did a lot of good stuff after it, but Enjoy the Silence, Personal Jesus, Policy of Truth, and one that I know you love, Halo. This album is just incredible. I love Dave Gahan's voice. I love everything about Depeche Mode. And I wanted to, it was really hard getting into this point, what was going to be where. At first I had this higher, then I had it lower, and then it just kind of rested right around here.
I can't talk about it because it's on my list. It's coming up. So
Okay.
I won't talk about it.
All right, then.
Number 8 for me somehow didn't end up in the pool because I missed it. And then I got ready to get into my pool, and it hit me that it wasn't on my list. And in some ways, it's cheating because the lead singer of this band is the lead singer of one of the 4.
Well, that's all right, though.
There was a band called Mad Season.
Oh, my God.
That
That's a
put
great
an album
album.
out called Above.
It's a great album.
And the song that they put out, or the main song off of it, is a song called River of Deceit. That is the best grunge song ever, and it's not close. I've listened to the song River of Deceit a gazillion times.
Mm-hmm.
I love that song. Lane Staley's voice is better than maybe anybody's voice ever.
It's in the arguments.
I love that song.
And it already feel that way on Rooster and some other things, but that song.
One year I picked an album from Joe Jackson when Jerry and I were doing the 80s, because Steppin' Out. I love the song Steppin' Out.
100%.
The rest of the album, there's one other good song. The rest of it's mid and below mid. Mm-hmm. But gosh, I love that song. The song River Deceit can get you number 8. It can get you that.
That's amazing.
It can get you that. The rest of it, the song,
yeah, I had that. I had that CD. It wasn't great, but that song is insane.
Yeah, the song "Wake Up" is good. There's other things that are on there okay, but River Deceit will drag your ass into the top 10.
It's amazing.
So good.
Number 7.
Yeah, number 7.
Number 7. This band is touring. Never thought it would happen. And you know how I'm a big concert person. If I get a chance to see these brothers, I'm gonna flip out, dude.
Yeah.
Number 7, Oasis. What's the story, Morning Glory? This album, Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall could be 2 of the most perfect songs ever written, which obviously leads to being a perfect album. And that's not even, the album's great beyond that. But those 2 songs alone, those 2 songs put you at number 7 for me. The other... Everything by Oasis, you and I both like Oasis, and I love the first album, and I love Live Forever. I love it. But when they hit What's the Story, Morning Glory, they found everything. I just think this album, they got a lot of crap, and people wanted, because obviously, we used to watch them on subtitles because Liam can't talk, but Liam and Noel Gallagher are just hilarious and amazing and so talented, and this album is great, and I hope I get a chance to see them before they kill each other.
Yeah, I texted you when the word came out that they were going to actually perform again.
It's working right now, but North America hasn't happened yet.
By the way, you're not a social media guy, but Liam tweeted about what happened on Friday night. Surprise, surprise.
Oh,
with
really?
Jane's Addiction.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so people, of course, were like, "That's going to happen to you in 3 days," and it was really funny. they are something else.
Yeah.
And you had them all, and I got them from you. I ripped them off from you.
I didn't want to like them
Sunday
because of how much
Call
of a
isn't on that album,
Right.
but like,
Yeah.
there are so many songs that they have that I just go back to, that I just, they're so good. Liam, just the two of them. Yeah, that was it was in the pool. That one, that out Morning
what's
Glory.
that? Cast any shadow or
standing on the shoulders of giants is that one.
They're just so good.
Yeah, they're so good. Yeah, love them. 100% deserve to be in the pool.
It was hard to put them where I put them.
Yep, and didn't make it into my list, but you're right. They should
love it.
They
love
should
that
be
album.
in there, and that's one of those you're like, how did you not pick it?
Because it's just really hard list.
Yeah, because it's impossible. Number 7 for me. You put like a rose on the black cover, red and gray.
Yeah.
You put songs on there that like you have a bunch of hits before then. You know, Mike and Billy Waters have a 45 for a song called "People Are People,"
Yep, which I love.
And you, when we're
I used to
kids-
play that on the jukebox
Yeah.
at Godfather's Pizza in Macomb, Illinois. By the way,
Mike and Billy put that thing in their big console record player. I'm not joking. Like shag carpet all around, paneling on the wall. They're putting "People Are People" from Depeche Mode in that big pull that lid up, and then years later you get something called "Violator" from Depeche Mode.
So
and
good.
it isn't even about "Enjoy the Silence." It isn't about "Personal Jesus."
Halo.
It's about Halo.
Oh my God.
Blue Dress.
Blue Dress.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Go listen to Blue Dress.
Incredible.
And tell me. I'm just saying, that album, I remember listening to it when I used to DJ.
Right.
You know, at the stuff we would get together at your cousin Jason's out at Old Linwood.
Right.
Right before not Pale Divine. What was the band called? What was their band called?
Oh, Distant Mirage.
Distant Mirage, before Distant Mirage took the stage.
Let's pour one out for Distant Mirage.
Yeah. I remember, like, it's hilarious. We're out in the middle of Fulton County in the country, and I'm blasting Violator.
And so it's funny how Depeche Mode was kind of the joke to a lot of the metal people for like a long time. And I never cared. I was like, whatever. But it's funny how it all comes full circle because they're in the Hall of Fame now and people actually respect them. I mean, they're an incredible band.
Well, and the follow-up album to this one is in the pool.
Yeah, it's in my pool. And I saw them twice on that next tour when he was all heroined out and looked like a total like Michael Hutchence wannabe, you know. But,
yeah. No, that was one of the ones when you and I talked about doing this, when I told you I had 5 jump into my head. This is a 5. This is one. I know it didn't make top 5, but it's
agreed.
one of the ones that instantaneously.
I fully believed when I started it would be in my top 5 and it just didn't quite make it.
Right. All right, so now we're to 6.
6, I'm going to be overlapping again. This is the Beastie Boys, Ill Communication. I don't need to say much more than we already said, other than it is absolutely perfect. It's a great album, just from start to finish. It's not just Sabotage. I mean, it's everything about that entire album is incredible. They caught
Sure
Shot.
At the bottom.
Sure Shot.
The remix version of it is just fire.
Yeah.
They were so good. They were just so good. They were on top of the world at that time. Check Your Head was like, here we come again. And then Ill Communication was
Can I kick it?
Punching
Yeah.
everybody
Root down,
in the face.
baby.
It was just, it's so good. My number 6, and I went back and forth. Do I put one of their albums on there? And the album came out in 1991, the second greatest year of all time behind 84. The Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest.
Made my pool.
A Tribe Called Quest is maybe the greatest rap hip hop group of all time.
The Beastie Boys and them are my 2 favorites, other than Eminem. That's about it. Those are my 3 favorites.
What made them great was all the samples. They just sampled so many different things, and there was, Michael Rappaport made a documentary about them, and he talked to Q-Tip about like what he picks samples and everything. And I love them. I've loved them. The last one on it is the last song on it is called Scenario, which has our guy Busta Rhymes on it. Yeah.
And that Arsenio Hall performance, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Tip and Five Dog they were incredible.
Yeah, they were just the lyrics and the samples. And we're two white kids that grew up in the middle of Fulton County, Illinois.
At one point, I found myself listening to Bonita Applebum while I'm driving with my window down, thinking there's no way anybody would believe that this is actually taking place in Fulton County.
Yeah, it was like back in the day when I used to, drive the family minivan, listening to Kanye. You know, it's like, that doesn't make sense. But there was no way I couldn't put one of their albums. It was between this one, which was their second, and People's Instinctive Journeys. This number one, which you said Bonita Applebum, it's on that.
I assumed you would have a Tribe on there.
Else, and it's a shame that it ended the way that they didn't keep putting music out.
I know,
because they were so good, so good.
Yeah, I would have been remiss if you didn't. I knew you would either have a Tribe or De La Soul on there. I figured one of them had to be in your top 15.
So now we're in the top 5.
Yep. My number 5 would be on no one else's number 5 ever, other than maybe this dude's wife. Robbie Williams, The Ego Has Landed, is number 5. My God, I love this album. And you and I used to it was 99, so it barely made it. But this is when I was coming to your house all the time. After school, we were taking classes together and stuff. And
right.
Robbie Williams is very, very underappreciated. Even if you just want to like him for being a smartass, that's fine. But he is amazing, and this album is amazing. Everything from Millennium all the way down to Let Me Entertain You. I mean, it obviously overplayed, stupid, annoying, and you have too many people doing it, from Taylor Swift all the way to Jessica Simpson. But the song Angels is beautiful, and it's his. So, great album. Funny dude. Yes, he's the fat dude from Take That. That's what Liam Gallagher always called.
Did you ever watch that thing on Netflix?
It's incredible. Yes, yeah. It's awesome watching him now that he's old, and and it was fun watching him and sad watching him just like kind of get it.
Yeah, I watched part of it. I quit because, of course, our attention spans in this world. When I saw that was obviously in the things to pick from, that you would pick that.
Yeah. I was surprised I got to top 5, but I realized I started thinking about listenability and how much I really listened to it, and then I tried to put that into the formula, and I'm like, there was a 3-year period where you couldn't have got me to stop listening to this album.
I have a picture somewhere in this house
of the flip-off
Rolling Stone where he's with a bunch of little boys who are playing soccer.
Yep.
And they're all flipping off the camera that I sent to you.
He's such a kid, dude.
Yeah. The song Millennium, obviously using the James Bond song in the background. Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
Love it.
That's a good choice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Again, though, I'm not wrong. Nobody else is picking on it.
Yeah. I would have considered it, but you're right. That's good stuff. Number 5, the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion from the Black Crowes. That's what started this. The person that tweeted it out put that as the thumbnail or whatever. We love the Black Crowes. Yep. You and I love them. I listed 4 of their albums to pick from. We listened to 3 Snakes and a Charm a million times at your dad's.
Yep.
They came out after. Remedy is the main song off this one. Thorn in My Pride. You go listen to that album, and I challenge you to find 2 songs that you can't stand. Mm-hmm. You might not like them as much, but that album is absolute 100% masterpiece.
The funny part about the Black Crowes is that I love them, and they actually did that one thing where sometimes this is what happens when you're trying to figure out what they actually cancel each other out. Because I love their album, those 2 albums that you just mentioned so much. This one probably gets the edge. They ended up not being in my 15 at all because they both could have been, and I couldn't get them in there. It's annoying. I hate that.
Yeah, I didn't put any of the others in the rapid fire, the just missed, just because. But By Your Side, and I just mentioned The Snakes.
And She Talks to Angels is still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah,
I just
and
love that song.
Amorica has one of the. I mean, Amorica. I listened to Amorica yesterday, and I was thinking that's going to be the one that will take, and it couldn't because there's just too much that's not. Pretty good album cover, but
yeah, exactly.
The rest of it's not. It's just not.
No, we the Three Snakes and a Charm too. We listened to the hell out of that.
Good Friday. We
Friday.
We listened to Good Friday about every Friday when you got home from
Nebuchadnezzar. No,
yeah.
Whatever that's called. Is it called Nebuchadnezzar? Yeah. That Good Friday is a great song.
We listened to that over and over.
That's an underappreciated Black Crowes album.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Number 4.
Number 4, I got much higher than you had it, but obviously, as you talked about it, you could easily put it anywhere in your top 10 as The Color and the Shape by the Foo Fighters. It ended up there. It could have probably, the last few, I could have had it 1, 2, 3, or 4 and probably been perfectly fine with my decision. Monkey Wrench was always my favorite, even though now when I went back and listened to it, I have way more appreciation for My Hero, and Everlong is just an incredible song, period. Johnny Park song is fun. The whole album, and everything you already mentioned, Tony, it's just an incredible album, and I love Dave Grohl, regardless of his bad choices sometimes.
Yep. New Way Home. Go listen to New Way Home. I'm telling you, New Way Home. That's the song off that. I won't get into it because I already talked about it.
Dave Grohl's that guy where you don't meet your heroes because then you'll be disappointed.
Right, yeah.
Love him until I have to meet him. Probably.
Great hot ones, great on the hot wings.
Yes, exactly.
He showed me a drink on there that I will never drink again because bad things happen. But yeah, good band, good album, good guy.
Overall.
And I love that album.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yes.
So my number 4 is Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I went into Rockin' Robins in 1990, I think. I'd seen a commercial with your guy, Andre Agassi, in it.
There you go.
And the Chili Peppers.
With them playing,
Yeah, and it was, and I wanted to mention this to you too. I don't know if you saw it or not. There was something on Showtime. There was a documentary about Nick Bollettieri.
No, I didn't know.
You haven't seen this? Yeah.
No, I'll have to check that out.
We had Showtime, like a free trial of it.
That's the only reason I actually got Andre Agassi's autograph was because Nick Bollettieri was friends with Kristen Butchers, somebody she knew. And Kristen comes back with a signed poster of Andre Agassi. I'm like, how in the world did you get this? And it was through Nick Bollettieri, which is hilarious.
This is totally off script of what we had talked about what we were doing. You got to watch this.
All right.
That guy's a ding-dong.
Yeah, he's not right.
No.
Not
I don't know
normal.
if he's still alive. I don't even know if he's still alive.
I'm not sure either.
But you got to see this.
I will.
Ron and I are watching it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Anyway, so I saw this commercial, Agassi, and these ding-dongs. Again, that's my word. Those are my words, ding-dongs.
I would say Anthony Kiedis and Flea are ding-dongs.
I find out who they are. Mother's Milk. And
Incredible
I will
album.
not go into that story, but Rockin' Robin was the queen of music. And so years later, I'm sitting, September, I think, 91, I'm sitting in the parking lot of Rockin' Robin's waiting for it to open so I can go get Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. It has to be on the list. It has to be on my list. Mm-hmm. It's so many good songs, front to back, beginning to end, even things that didn't make it on there that they put on EPs and whatever were amazing.
It's that weird time
good.
too where John Frusciante was in the band, did the songs, but didn't tour because all that went down. But that was
it's so good. They were really, really, really good, and they were one of my favorite bands, if not my favorite band at the time.
I would agree with that.
In that period of time of grabbing the 91 albums.
Tony Wherley never went to concerts, but Drew and I drug you to the Chili Peppers with Foo Fighters and Muse opening because it was the Chili Peppers.
That's crazy to think that it was that many years later.
And it's crazy to think that Muse was this opening band that nobody even knew about.
No clue.
Yeah, crazy.
No clue. Baby Gage. Gage was a baby at that time. Yeah.
Insane.
No, it's hard to believe. But yeah, it would be Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic, number 4 for me.
Number 3, Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. How funny is that?
Yeah.
Album is insane. It's my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers, even though there's plenty of incredible stuff by them. Breaking the Girl was always something that I absolutely just loved. I could have lied. There's just what's the Peacock? What I can't think of the theme. I'm drawing a blank on song names because we're old. And again, we got to the point where it was more track numbers. But
right,
that album from start to finish. I mean, Give It Away isn't even close to being the best song on that album, and that song is monumental. So.
Yeah, Breaking the Girl. It's funny you named that because Jason, your cousin Jason, had like a VHS tape of like the making of it.
Yeah. And
they played like some little kiddie piano. They rented some haunted house to make it.
That's
and
crazy.
Was Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin
was a genius.
Rick Rubin
is a genius.
Helped them make it. And that's it.
Again, and I also love the title song. Blood Sugar Sex Magic is an incredible song that people don't give enough credit to.
Yeah, it was something else.
Yeah.
It was, they were making different music than everybody else at the time. And
kind of was their peak.
Their peak.
I would say it's their peak. They made great. I mean, there's a great album after that.
Californication's great.
And One Hot Minute, for what it's worth, for what it is.
And I know people who love Danny California.
Yeah.
Right. Was that the name of it? No, that's a song.
No, it's a song off of By Your Side or something. Or Be My.
By Your Side was after that.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the album.
We are getting old.
Oh wait, is that Californication?
No, California. No, we're sounding like ding dongs on here. You know that?
Ding dong.
What is the name of the album? If I'm right, Stadium Arcadium.
That's it.
By 2006, I'm old.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well,
I don't know.
And I'm slightly younger.
By Your Side is 2000.
Is that's the one with the dun dun that one video where he's like abducted by the taxi cab driver? That's that album, right? In that.
By the Way.
2002. That's it.
Yeah.
Man, we are old.
We are getting old.
What's your number 3?
Siamese Dream.
Great album.
The one Smashing Pumpkins album that I put on here.
It was my other one. It didn't make it, but it was between that and Gish.
I went through it, and pretty much every song on it, I love.
Even the overplayed Disarm is one of the most beautiful songs ever.
Yeah, it's for that to be your second album.
Jeez,
so good.
Yeah,
it's such a good album.
Cherub Rock, is that
Mayonnaise?
Yeah, Mayonnaise. Oh my gosh.
Cherub Rock. That's on.
Is that it?
That's on Guitar Hero. Yep, that's one of the Guitar Hero songs.
And Rhinoceros was on that as well, wasn't it? Or was that on Gish?
That's on Gish.
God, it's hard to remember. Hummer. Yeah.
Yeah, Hummer's the one that was.
And the guitar on Today is just one of the coolest sounding guitars.
Space Boy. One of my favorite. Yeah. Luna, Sweet. I love that album so much.
Yeah.
Because it was like, again, I found them like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then they come out with something that they don't like fall off the face of the earth.
No.
They take it to another level.
They went to another level, right. And then, as we kind of alluded to, Melancholy, even though we maybe didn't give it the credit at the time, they even took it to another level a little bit in some ways.
Melancholy and the
and then Adore, they just kind of go back down.
You had that.
Which I loved Adore. It was a great album.
Because Melancholy has all different kinds of stuff. But
they branched their sound a lot.
So Siamese was my number 3.
All right. Number 2 was on your list a long time ago. And you're going to be like, this isn't number 1, but it's not. Number 2 is Nine Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral. It's not my favorite Nine Inch Nails album. It's the second favorite, but of course Pretty Hate Machine couldn't make it, so it's easily the number 2. Because of parameters that I instilled upon myself, I did not include the EP Broken on anything here, even though I did write it down because Wish is one of my favorite songs by them.
I listened to it the other day.
It's an EP, so I didn't include it. I kind of wish that I would have, but because it might have made my top 20 or at least 15 maybe. Downward Spiral. I know everybody just goes crazy about Johnny Cash's version of Hurt, but see, I still am partial. That his version.
Oh, I am too.
And seeing it live, and I think just seeing Trent Reznor live, period, changes everything for you in a lot of ways when listening to them. But March of the Pigs is insane. Closer got overplayed, like almost like Rob Thomas Supernatural overplayed, and I still love it. Don't care. The album is great. I know you discussed the fact that after those, it kind of dies off. To me, the whole album is good. I'm okay with the whole album. He made a lot of great music after that, but Downward Spiral is really high if you knew me.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that isn't your number one.
Yeah.
Like, I would have guessed that might have been your number one. And again, that's why I think this list is fun.
The funny part about my number one, as we'll see in a minute, is that some people that know me would automatically assume what my number one is. We weren't hanging out as much when this became my favorite album.
Yeah.
And so you will not be surprised completely, but you'll be like, yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, my number two is something we actually did listen to a lot together, and it is the album Play by Moby.
It made my list on the on the pool. It's insane how good it is.
We became big Moby fans around the same time.
Yep.
And I've listened to that album so many times. There are songs, and he put out like an album that goes with it, but isn't actually it. The ones that didn't make it for him. And when I was thinking about not putting it there, like, it has to be. Like, I listened to that album, My Weakness,
You became
Memory Gospel.
Giant.
Just
Moby
love
fan.
them.
Yeah.
Love them. And it would be easy to mock that and go, that's fine, go ahead.
Yeah.
I just love them. I think the music that he made and the stuff that he put out was so good. Is he the best guy in the world? I don't know. Are any of these people the best people we know?
Yeah, who knows?
Probably not. But I absolutely love that album, and it should have been. Well,
my number one goes back to the perfection thing.
well, are we gonna?
Let's go back into the other one. Yeah. Let's do the Jerry thing. Jerry thing.
Let's do the Jerry thing.
All right.
So we'll do the Just Missed. Then we'll do number one.
Yep.
And then we'll go rapid fire.
So Just Missed, and I actually have them in order, so I'll go Just Missed 20.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on my Just Missed.
Okay, same. So 5. Lenny Kravitz, 5. Not what most people would pick for Lenny Kravitz, but you and I listened to the heck out of that album. Yep. It has the one song. I immediately think of Tony Wherley every single time, and you already know that. I mean, it's immediate. Plus, that album is just spotless. And we love Lenny Kravitz. A lot of people don't. They think he's just a ripoff of 70s music. I think he's phenomenal. And that's my favorite of the Lenny Kravitz's, and I kind of felt like I had to have a Lenny on there.
Yep. 5 for me is Diggable Planets.
Nice.
Reaching.
Nice.
Jason and I listen to that all the time. I had it on CD. One song was popular. The rest of it was maybe not.
Yeah.
But I listened to it over and over, and I still listen to it today.
Yeah.
I got a real quick. What was that? I can't think of the name of the song now. Darn it. What was the name? Oh, Rebirth of Slick. That's why.
Yeah.
That was
it's a strange title.
That was the one that got MTV cred.
All right.
But yeah, there's others on there that are just so good. Yours.
19, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 2. It's my favorite of the two. I'm sure Jerry's beyond pissed that they are not in the top 5.
Yeah, Jerry's going to make fun of this list.
Well, I mean,
both of our lists.
Appetite for Destruction is my favorite Guns N' Roses album. I love both of Use Your Illusions. One is still really good, but with Estranged, it makes 2 my favorite. Okay. Civil War and Estranged.
Number 4 for me is Jamiroquai's Travel Without Moving.
It's in my pool. We love Jamiroquai.
Virtual Insanity.
What an insanely good song. Yes.
Gosh, I love Jamiroquai. I listen to Jamiroquai all the time.
Outer Space Girl.
Oh my gosh.
He's so good, dude.
So good. I love him. Love him.
JK.
Number 3.
Number 3, Stone Temple Pilots. Tiny music from the Vatican gift shop. I love this album. It was a big departure. It's when they really, truly went a little more poppy. I like a lot of stuff on this album. Art School Girl is fun. Can't think of the name of the song at the moment. I'm really annoyed. Big Bang Baby is really fun. Yeah. This whole album is really good to me. I like it.
It is. It's a really, really good
It was hard to decide between that and Core.
Yeah.
But it's funny how Core ended up being my forgotten child of the 3, and it's what brought him on the map. But it's because that was Pearl Jam Light. So.
Right. I mean, they put out so many good songs and so much good music in those albums.
Tripping a Hole in My Paper Heart. That's the name of the song.
I think that's a Guitar Hero song too. That's the reason why I say that is because people found those songs from Guitar Hero.
Exactly, which is funny. It was a sensation that really helped people come to some different songs.
Yeah, that was on there, and I remember seeing it and being like,
Really? That makes
Well, that's okay, I guess, if it brings people to that music.
exactly.
My number 3, I decided in my just miss that I would pick things that would bring somebody to something maybe they didn't listen to.
I like that.
How about a song or an album called Exit Planet Dust from the Chemical Brothers?
Oh, yeah. I had
Dig Your Own Hole.
Dig Your Own Hole on my short list.
How about Leave Home? I won't say the name of that one because it's got a cuss word in it.
Yeah.
Chico's Groove. One Too Many Mornings.
How cool were the Chemical Brothers? Seriously.
Life is Sweet. Listen to it over and over. And Alive Alone, which is I think it's the person who does vocals for Portishead.
Okay.
Such a good. I bought it like when I was listening to the Chemical Brothers. I bought it at Disc and Dat.
Yeah.
Shout out Disc
Tim
and Dat.
LaBelle.
I bought that and listened to it so much. The Chemical Brothers, that techno-y thing. That's when I switched. That's when I started listening to techno and Chemical Brothers. Number 2.
I love how weird things happen like this. Number 2, Portishead Dummy.
Yeah.
You just mentioned Portishead. Portishead. So here's a funny story with Portishead. I went into Spirit in the Sky one day, and I don't know why, because I never really liked that store. And there was a Portishead T-shirt. Do you remember my blue Portishead T-shirt?
I don't. But
It just said Portishead across it, and I was like, "That's weird. I don't know what this means. I like the shirt though, so I bought it." And then I found out it was a band, and I started listening to that album. That album is absolutely incredible.
it's not funny.
And Sour Times is
That's
not
not
even
funny.
the best song. It's just a great album.
Glory Box.
It's insane.
Yeah, I love them. You and I, we both love them.
Yeah.
So good. Number 2 for me is Mama Said. From
Incredible Lenny
Kravitz.
album.
Lenny Kravitz, you talked about him. I had 5. I had Are You Gonna Go My Way in my pool.
Same.
Mama Said. You can make fun of Lenny Kravitz if you want. You can say whatever you want about him. That album is so good.
It Ain't Over
It's
Till It's
not funny.
Over is so good.
What the F are we saying?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. He did it. I mean, that's his second album.
Yeah.
I mean, Let Love Rule came out before that.
Let Love Rule was incredible too.
Yeah, it was
really.
good too. But Mama Said Slash played on a couple of songs.
Yep.
Really good.
My highest just missed was actually Santana's Supernatural. It's a phenomenal album.
Yeah.
And that Rob Thomas song is just incredible.
Yep.
Smooth is better now than it was when we were younger because I got tired of it. And then I really came around to Rob Thomas and realized just how great that song is.
Santana's a different pod for me because of I just absolutely love him.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Santana is one of my favorite guitar players ever. Underrated and just amazing. My number 1 is the Use Your Illusions Together.
I almost cheated with that, but I decided not to.
I didn't want Jerry to disown us as friends. Give Me Estranged, Give Me November Rain. There's a lot of... The reason why it didn't make the top 15 is there's so much on there that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
those two, especially Estranged, are just absolute fire.
So, rapid fire, do we not... If it's been mentioned, we shouldn't mention it.
Let's go rapid fire after. Let's go number 1s
Okay.
first, and then we'll go rapid
Okay.
fire. Things that should have been, and we'll just name them and go on.
But nothing that we've mentioned before, right? Because that
it
makes
could
no
be.
sense.
It
Okay,
could be.
whatever. All right. So my number one,
your number
my
one,
number one album of the
number one
90s.
perfect album of the 90s that's not Soundgarden, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, or Alice in Chains.
I used to go to sleep to this album every single night for most of like a 4-year period in the 90s. Perfection a la Alanis Morissette-esque is the fact that there's only one album, period, by this guy. And it's because he died. And then they released his stuff later, but Jeff Buckley Grace is my favorite album of the 90s, period. It's almost, after I really got into it, there was no question. Lover, You Should Have Come Over, The Last Goodbye, his Kick Out the Jams version is insane. The Eternal Life. This whole album is phenomenal, and it's really a departure from most of the stuff that I ever liked. So it was really strange that I ever got into it. And if it had been 120 minutes, and him being interviewed by Kennedy on 120 minutes, I probably never even would have given him a chance. And then I fell in love with his music, and the album is just perfection without a doubt. Sketches from My Sweetheart the Drunk was an excellent album, but I didn't include it in anything because he wasn't even alive when it got released, and it wasn't even always him. But so that's what my number one is Jeff Buckley, Grace.
The weird thing is like, as much as you love him, we never really talked about him.
I know.
Like
I found that weird too.
We never listened to that together, and I came to the Last Goodbye a few years ago without your influence, and I listened to it all the time. A kid who is in Champaign right now that I coached my first year of coaching middle school girls. Every time I post Instagram shot of listening to that, she comments on it because, like, it's good to know he's still influencing kids who
100%.
who are 18 years old.
When I worked at the radio station there for a little while back in the 90s, I would cheat to put Last Goodbye in the top 10 by having somebody I knew call in.
Right.
I mean, I called one night, I called April and had Mackenzie say it, and I would ask people to call in and say it that I knew. That way it would be in the top 10 so I could play it.
Right. It's such a good song.
It is.
He was so talented,
Yep.
and it's a shame.
I mean, I didn't even mention Hallelujah on there, obviously,
Right,
Leonard
yeah.
Cohen's song, which I know that Jerry and I got in an argument one time about how he said his wasn't the best version. I said, you're an idiot, and then we just moved on.
Right, yeah. That song is something else. Just something else. He's so good.
His vocal is just ridiculous.
And every time you listen to it, there is something to be said for the fact that you're like, what else was coming?
No, and with Sketches is really good, and the stuff he had already released or already recorded is incredible, and he died in his early 30s. Just what could he have done?
Right. Yeah, every time I listen to it, I think about what we missed out on.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is a band that I didn't really know much about back when we were younger, running around together. I think Jerry had it, actually. I don't know if it was yours or Jerry's. I think it was Jerry's. But Radiohead is the new version of my Pink Floyd.
I almost thought to myself, should we mention things that I can't believe you don't have? And I know you're a huge fan. I had Pablo Honey, so that's Jerry actually hated Radiohead.
Okay, so it was yours.
Yeah, because he hated the song "Creep,"
yours.
which
it was you. So then clearly that answered what I was going to say. I couldn't remember who I got it from, but I had Pablo Honey on my list, but it's not Pablo Honey.
It's OK.
It's OK Computer. OK Computer on my screen in front of me. There's only 2 songs that are on my favorite songs ever playlist out of 12. No Surprises, Paranoid Android.
Mm-hmm.
Even Fitter and Happier, which is just a computer style voice saying things. Like I love them so much. Radiohead was my most recent Pink Floyd. Like, I love them so much.
Well, Tom York is an absolute genius.
They were so good.
And he's such a good dude. I mean, I think he seems like he is a good dude.
Right. So, like, Kid A, In Rainbows.
Well, I'm the Benz fan. I love the
Ben. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Like, like, OK Computer, to me, there's no way. Like, it's number one. It isn't close.
I love them. The first time I heard Fake Plastic Trees, I realized, okay, Creep is not what they are.
Yeah, and I love Creep.
And I do too.
It's amazing.
But it's just like that. They became something completely different to me.
So good. Love them to death.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Rapid fire.
Okay.
We're going to go back and forth. No comment. Just first rapid fire.
Like I said, Radiohead, the Benz.
The Benz is first on mine.
Rage Against the Machine, Battle of Los Angeles.
The Sky is Crying from Stevie Ray Vaughan after he died.
Green Day, Dookie.
Where You Been, Dinosaur Jr.
Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar.
Pablo Honey, Radiohead.
No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom.
Love that Gwen.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins, Gish.
Beastie Boys, Check Your Head.
Angel Dust, Faith No More.
Janet Jackson, Janet.
Fire.
Great album.
Rage Against the Machine debut album.
Yes. George Michael, Listen Without Prejudice, Volume 1.
Fire. Automatic for the People, REM.
Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1.
Metallica, the Black Album.
Prince, Diamonds and Pearls.
I knew that had to
Get off.
Gotta get a print on there.
Cream.
Gotta get a Prince on there somewhere. Portishead Dummy for me.
Temple of the Dog.
And the last one for me is my guy Jay-Z, Hard Knock Life.
I got a few more. You want me to
Can I
rattle
get-
them
yeah,
off?
Throw them out. People
Korn, Follow the Leader.
might- Fire.
Great album.
Absolute fire.
Faith No More, King for a Day. U2, Octung Baby. It's a good album.
That's unbelievable.
Depeche Mode, Songs for Faith and Devotion.
Awesome.
Duran Duran, Wedding Album.
Yep.
In Excess, Welcome to Wherever You Are. Filter, Title of Record. Insane album.
How did I not have that on my list?
I don't know. Because that
Seriously.
album. I mean, they have...
What is going on?
Amalgamate was great too, but I think it was 2000. But Title of Record is an insane album. I don't even know how I didn't keep it in my top
funny
20.
that we got all the way to the end before we found something that, gosh darn it, that's one of my favorite things ever. Take a picture.
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah, listen, if you're listening to this, I totally screwed that up. I saw Short Bus, but I didn't. So, yeah, go listen to Title of Record by Filter. If you never listen to Filter, you're making a mistake.
And Amalgamate, even though it's not 90s.
Oh, yeah.
That album is insanely
'Cause
good
you had
and
it.
so underappreciated and nobody knows about it.
Nope.
I had Filter, I'm sorry, Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? Incubus, Make Yourself. I'm a huge Incubus fan. And Pardon Me is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, yeah, that's on my list. I listened to that last night.
Jesus and Mary Chain, Automatic. Love that album. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication. Prodigy, Fat of the Land. Love that album.
Yep.
Chemical Brothers, Dig Your Own Hole. I had The Cult. I had Bush 16 Stone, which is an incredibly good album.
Looking at that.
Bush has a few songs, Machine Head, Glycerine. I mean, it's
Come Down.
They deserve some love, even though they're kind of made fun of.
Go listen to Swallowed from them too.
No kidding. Great.
Chad, he put more on his, so I'm gonna keep going. Go listen
Do
to Luscious Jackson's Fever In, Fever Out. Go
Luscious
listen
Jackson.
to that.
Wait, thank you, Beastie Boys, for Luscious Jackson.
Yeah, the drummer was in the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Go listen to it. You know, if you've seen my pictures on social media, I have a Luscious Jackson T-shirt. How about listening to the?
Yes.
Listen to The's album Dusk.
Dusk.
Go listen to that.
Love is Greater Than Death is an insanely good
I
song
don't know if
off
it's
of that.
90s, but you're there. How about the Cult Sonic Temple? Listen to that.
It's 80s, but
Is
listen to
80s?
it. Yeah.
Is it 89?
Yep.
Yeah. Darn it. You ever listen to Cypress Hill Black Sunday? Go listen to that if you want to listen to some rap music. How about listening to Madonna's Bedtime Stories?
It's really good. I almost put it on there. Yeah. I mean, on my list.
She put some nutty stuff on.
She
that
did some
album, but
solid
it was
music
good.
for a little bit there.
It was good. Listen to D'Angelo's Brown Sugar.
Yes.
D'Angelo had some fire.
What about Missy Elliott too?
Oh, Missy Elliott.
That
yeah.
what is that?
The Rain.
yeah.
The Rain is her solo
Is that
album.
Superfly or what the
Yeah.
heck is that album called? That was
Yeah.
we listened to that for a little bit. It was
Yeah,
good.
we did listen to
Don't
that.
forget our boy Busta. Busta
Go
Rhymes.
Listen to Busta Rhymes, ELE.
Yeah.
It wasn't Everybody to Love Everybody.
Or Dangerous. Is that
that one was called
What was that
when
called?
When Disaster
When Disaster Strikes.
Yeah, we listened to that a lot.
Flip Mode Squad, baby.
How about Fat Boy Slim?
Oh, that album is so good.
Yeah, wasn't the first one. Well,
No.
actually, you had the first one.
Yeah.
What was it called?
What was the one called with Weapon of Choice and Rockefellers?
That was even after. That's what's funny is that was even after.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, computer. Throw something else out.
When I was by the way, when I brought up, I know I hate to go back on the same one, but like, do you remember that video for that song from Korn, Follow the Leader, with the bullet going through? We were watching that at your house in Macomb. That Korn album is in really good album.
Yeah, we listened to it a lot. We really did.
I don't know if I have anything else to throw out.
You had an album called Better Living Through Chemistry from Fat Boy Slim.
Yes.
And then the next one, the one that hit, when he really hit, was You've Come a Long Way, Baby.
Yeah.
You know.
What about Wink?
The one you're talking about
Wink.
was, Wink. Go listen to Josh Wink.
Josh Wink is the man.
Look up Josh Wink. Halfway Between the Gutter and the Stars is the one that has Weapon of Choice.
There you
on
go.
it. I'm just going through my pool. We're just throwing stuff out for you to, if you hear it. Chad and I used to listen to something called a guy called Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yeah, Kenny Wayne.
He had an album called Trouble Is.
It was a great album. It was like
Blue on Black.
It was the epitome of if Stevie Ray Vaughan had a kid. He was just like his
Johnny
boy.
Lang too.
Yeah, Johnny Lang was good. Yeah,
Johnny Lang, Lie to Me. That's a good album. The Jay-Z side of me. Go listen to his debut album, Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
So we're throwing a bunch of stuff out here.
I think that the Slim Shady LP came out in '99 too.
Yeah,
it wasn't incredible, but it was the beginning of something.
If you're listening to stuff, if you're listening to this, if you made it this far, we're an hour and 22 in. We just threw a bunch of stuff at you. Go back and listen to the pod, and then go listen to that stuff.
Yes,
but
anybody that we mentioned, just go listen to their catalog as well, because we probably liked
Tool's
more.
Undertow came out that
Tool, yeah, the Toadies, Possum Kingdom. That song alone, that is insane. Like, there's so many good one-hit wonders in the 90s that I bought because I would buy CDs. Like,
and I got it from you. Yeah. The beginning, and one last one. Let's throw this guy out because he's the last one on my list right here. Beck, baby.
Beck. I had Odelay down,
Beck,
and then what's the name of the second? Midnight Vultures.
Or Mellow Gold.
Mellow Gold. Odelay was probably my favorite. Midnight Vultures was insane.
I listen to Beck all the time.
I actually am kind of shocked that neither of us have him on anything.
I listen to Beck all the time.
Yeah.
So, seriously, if you've hung with us as long as, now, go listen to stuff. The challenge was no Pearl Jam, no Nirvana, no Soundgarden, no Alice in Chains. And those four are amazing.
Yep.
But golly, we just went through a bunch of 90s
We had no problem
music,
doing it, even though it was horribly stressful.
Finding you stuff that will just kill it. So I'm glad you drove an hour and 20 minutes to Mason County.
I am too.
I'm just hoping it recorded it.
Me too.
Anyway, I love you, buddy. I'm glad you're here.
Love you too, man. Thank you for having me come do this.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We may do it from a distance, but we'll do it again. All right. So again, I say this all the time, and I mean it. You look at life, and you think of when things that are bad happen to you, and how did this happen? You know what? There's a lot of things that happen to you, and they're good things. Don't count the bad always. Count the good too. Life is good. See ya.